Hi everyone, I know it's been a while since I did a lesson video. Sorry about that, but it's about 2 degrees outside and the wind is howling, so I figured no time like the present. What I'm going to show you today is actually one of the simplest but most useful rock exercises that I take my students through. And you can work on this as a beginner through experienced drummer. I have had some experienced drummers who hear things on tracks and they ask me about it. They don't realize how simple a variation on what they already know this concept is, and then when I show them, it like opens up a whole new world for them. But as a beginner, it's also really useful to learn right off the bat because it's not that tricky. So here's the idea. Let's start with like one of the most simple and basic rock beats that every beginner drummer learns. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 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 1. Okay. Also, before I go further, I am playing eighth notes on the hi-hat today, but as I'll show you on the recap of the video at the end, this works for any hand pattern. So once you get comfortable with the standard eighth notes, you can start experimenting in a lot of ways, but we'll get to that later. So let's take our simple rock beat, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. And I'm going to show you 5 snare drum variations, including that one, that make it sound really different and usable in different contexts and for different energy levels and songs, but it doesn't change the core character of the groove, which is normally the bass drum part in rock. So the first thing is to learn the rock beat without any snare drums. And if you want to get an idea for how the bass player in your band feels, this is the way to do it, because he's not playing the backbeat. You're the only one playing the backbeat. So to a bass player, this rock beat feels like this. Sparse, but it sets up the groove without complicating it. It's good for introductions, breakdowns, outros, bass solos, you name it, right? So that's the first idea, is just play your rock beats with no snare drums. This can be a lot harder than it seems, especially if you've only played 2 and 4 on the snare for years, which a lot of beginners do, unfortunately. So that's the first step. Take your regular rock beat, take the snare drums out of it. You're thinking like a bass player. Okay. The next step is to put the the snare drum only on beat 4. And I call this the producer's backbeat, because what you hear in a lot of songs in order to build the ladder of energy is a song might start with no snare drums for an intro. But then when you add beat 4, you're going to get half of the energy of the 2 and 4, right? So you got 1 and big payoff at the end of the bar. And then when you go to 2 and 4 again, it literally sounds twice as busy, twice as big. And 1 and 2 and 3 and back to 4 and 2 and 1 and back to no snare drums. So now again, you've got 1 rock beat. We've already got 3 rock beats out of it. Okay, now I'm going to add beat 3 with the snare drum. So now the snare drum is going to be 1, 2, 1, 2, 4. This is going to add another level of energy. 1. Notice again, I am not changing the bass drum ever. The whole idea is to keep the character of the groove. Just find a small, simple way to change it up. And then the last step is we're going to put snares on all 4 beats. 1, 2, 3. So now we've got infinitely many more snare drums, 4 more snare drums than 0. 4 times the snare drums from just the backbeat on 4. Double the snare drums from our normal 1 and 30% more snare drums from our. So we're just building up the energy. Let's go through them one more time with the simple beat. No snare drum at all. Now add the producer's backbeat, B4, 2, and 1. Now our normal. Now your most common beat mode. Now you want to pick up the energy without changing much. Add B3. No change in the bass. Now all four. So that was a simple beat turned into 5 rock beats, right? Let's do it with a slightly more syncopated or 16th note bass drum part. So off the top of my head, 1, 2, right, there's your first. Everyone learns it for the first time. And the 2, and the 1. We'll do it slower. Very common beat, right? Now again, if you want to hear it like a bass player, add your 2 and 4. Take it out. Now let's add just B4. 1. A little bit more energy. Big payoff at the end. Normal. 2s and 4s. And 1. Let's add B3. 1. And all 4 So again, these have very different character. Intros, producer backbeat, regular groove, big guitar solo, outro. Anywhere you play it, it's going to sound good. So that's the exercise. No snare drums at all. Put the snare drum only on beat 4. 2s and 4s, the normal backbeat. Sneak beat 3 in there. 2, 3, and 4. And then 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you've got the same bass drum pattern, which means, you know, same character, same groove for the bass player, the rest of the band to groove with, but you're doing something to pick the energy up each time. So, as I said at the beginning of the video, I'm playing 8th notes today just as an example. You could do this with quarters. Do it with 16th notes. there are like 16,530 something bass drum patterns in 16th notes. It's basically 16 times 16 times 16 times 16. There's 16 ways to play 4 16th notes, 16 ways to play 4 16th notes, 16 ways to play 4 16th notes, 16 ways to play 4 16th notes. So 16 to the 4th, I think 16,000 something. With the bass drum, I just showed you 5 snare drum patterns. One is no snare drum at all, but still a variation. So that's 5 times that 16,000. And then you've got, I just showed you 3 basic hand patterns. Quarter notes, 8th notes, 2-hand 16th notes. And if you want to do one-handed, you got another one. So we're already into the millions of variations, and we're only talking about one bass drum pattern, one root groove. So I hope you find that helpful and useful. You'll hear it in a lot of music that you listen to, and if you're a player, you should start using it. 4 snare drums at the end, big finish, quadruple time, right? Beginning, intros, breakdowns, no snare drum at all. Just feel that bass groove. And then when you do lay in with your 2s and 4s, it feels like a huge energy boost. All right, have a great time playing, everyone. It's great to see you. Thanks for watching.